a big animal.
So we're talking about close to double your height?
Just at least, probably. And, you know, I can't tell. You got a game trail that comes right through here, right through there, and that way.
This little road right here didn't exist back then.
No.
This was just the normal foliage, and as a matter of fact, they've blocked off this road to where nobody can drive on it anymore, so it'll be grown over in another 10 years.
We see that this is pretty traveled. The moment you move, you get seen.
Yeah, that's why they're masters of camouflage when...
Hence the shirt. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, a lot of people say that they just freeze and hold still, and then you're questioning because they're not moving. But that's the best way to blend in and stay blend in is not moving when you're all camoed up.
And when I hear people describe them, you know, a lot of people describe them as, you know, like Harry and the Henderson or like a ape. And when I seen him, he was, you know, he didn't have a neck, broad shoulders, rounded head. Like didn't come to a point or a cone, it didn't have a big forehead, just rounded. And his facial, it was like he was a darker, not black, but from when it looked more black, but I don't know if it was because it was the dark. It was 11:30 or 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And his facial expressions looked extremely human. Like, didn't have, you know, a turned up nose or anything, just a regular nose, but his bigger nose. And he just had no facial expressions, no hair on his face, just kind of just pissed off looking.
And my memory, I didn't have the luck of seeing a facial or anything like that, but what sticks out the most with mine wasn't necessarily like the height, more the girth, just the size of it. This thing was just huge, you know, and that's what sticks out with me. But, you know, the whole rounded head, that's more so what my visual sees as well. But again, you know, I kind of got just a silhouette of it from a light coming from behind it. So the whole front part of him was just black and just the hair.
Your headlight
just
hit this thing for a minute.
So you got a frontal of him with your lights hitting on him, where I got it from behind.
In my opinion, the females don't get that big, but you know, who knows? It sounds to me like it was probably like probably the biggest male on the mountain, just a giant.
Oh, yeah, it kind of did look like. Now that you mention it, he's probably looked like Overwatch. Like he was standing guard. I didn't think about that until you just.
So there's a couple of sizes that people have seen up here. My buddy Reed, he saw one that he says was 9-10 feet tall. He saw it from his camp over by Elcat Springs. He was camping over there. It woke him up at night. He had to hike into where he was camping, and he was the only one there. He was by himself, and after he saw it, he had to spend the rest of the night there. There was no hiking out for him. He had to deal with it till morning.
Yeah.
Put a little perspective. We were probably another 3 miles or so back is where that campsite is that we stay at.
Yeah.
About that.
Where we get all the wood knocks.
We had about a 12-man tent that we had pitched. 4th of July night coming back. When my boy actually saw it, I was down. I was right there. I was actually building the fire, and when I got it lit up, so when he actually got his sight, the fire had just lit up, and he said, "There's a guy staring at us." But when he described what happened at the time, it was actually down on all fours. It had its hands. It was actually leaning forward, just staring at us. When the fire team was standing just behind
like a gorilla
the tent,
does.
like a gorilla kind of. And he was staring just off the side of it, the back side of the tent, but he was off to the side. And when he explained it, he was not only on all fours, he was my height on all fours.
Wow.
So probably the same. I mean, when you're talking about it, once it stood up, it's probably about the same height as what you're talking about here. And this is 3 years ago? Years ago this happened?
On 4th of July.
And we found footprints, the whole works. And I didn't actually
those footprints were deep.
I didn't catch an actual visual of it, but we heard it take off. I whipped out all I had on me. I'm like, sitting here, I felt like almost naked. I had my phone on me, whipped my phone out just to get the flashlight going on. Didn't have a light on me, nothing, because I had just barely pulled in in the Suburban, and was just, the girls were in changing their clothes in the tent, so the girls were this close to it and just not realizing it because it was just outside the tent.
It was right outside
But
their tent.
but
Oh my God,
took
that's
off.
creepy.
It literally circled our entire thing, and I'm up here trying to get a visual on what the hell this was. Because initially I thought, got some crazy ass in our camp, you know what I mean? Going all the way around it, I got all the way to the back side of where the Suburban was, and just stopped dead in my tracks. In fact, got the goosebumps and the freaking hairs going up now, because once I crossed that threshold, the first thing it just hit me. I'm completely here defenseless, you know, tracking down some crazy or whatever it was at the time, and I'm chasing it down, and I got nothing to stop it other than what's sitting in a truck, and I'm kind of SOL. It froze me. I stopped and said I backed off at that time, but you could hear whatever it was took off out there, and I sat there and got his little report of what was going on. I'm like, sitting here, kid just actually had a Sasquatch sighting right in our freaking camp.
Well, you guys were camping right there
Yeah,
because
it
of
was
all the Bigfoot
about
sightings. That's why he
That is
chose
why
to
we
camp
were here.
there.
That's why we come up here, because we've been doing this since 2008 is when we actually really put this organization together and started doing it. So, you know, we're always putting ourselves in a position, and
We camp where there's a group of Bigfoot sightings, and right
honestly,
up here is it.
honestly,
That's why I like coming back
Utah
here
is
too.
ground zero. I mean, for Utah and Sasquatch, there is more on this mountain where we are than anywhere else.
There's 3 counties of Utah that come together right here. So when you're looking at them per county, you're like, oh, well, you know, there's an average amount of sightings, but these counties all come together. I know 7 people personally that have saw Bigfoot up here, including Eric's son. I mean, it's just a smorgasbord of Bigfoot sightings on top of this mountain.
I hope you enjoyed the Derek family Bigfoot sighting report on a Bigfoot sighting hotspot, Monte Cristo Hardware Ranch, Utah. Keep on watching. We're going to keep on squatching.